Okay, so today we're going to be making masks for our Unmasked display that'll be hanging up in the library this year. To make this project, you're going to need a plastic mask as your mold. Additionally, you're going to need 1.25 pounds of well-wedged clay. All right, let's get our clay wedged. All right, the next thing you want to do is flatten your clay out into kind of a fat hamburger patty. And then you're ready to roll it out. Keep in mind our masks are oval, and so we want our piece to be oval as we roll it out. So remember, always start rolling in the middle. Roll up and down your piece. I'm going to flip it different directions to keep it going out oval rather than round or just super long and wide. Okay, we're just about there. Once you can hear the sound of the wood roller on the wood thickness strips, you know that you're rolled out good. Okay, so now we're ready to put this on our mask. And we're going to use WD-40, just a little bit on the inside of our mask. And you want to spread that around good. Okay, make sure it gets into all the little grooves and cracks. And now we're ready to put our mask. Okay, put your mask on the foam, and then you're going to lay your clay on top of that, and you'll begin pushing your clay gently down into it. Now, if you push too hard, too quickly, you'll tear the clay, which you don't want to do. You're going to have plenty of extra clay, and you can always patch it if you do, but just take and start working it down into the recesses of the mask. You'll feel the eyes and the nose and the mouth. Since the nose stretches the furthest, that's going to get the thinnest, so be careful not to tear that. I'll usually get my piece going and then just very early on in cut the extra clay off. We'll trim up the rest of it better afterwards, but that just makes it a little bit easier to work with. And so this is going to be the inside of the mask that we're working on. You're going to be writing on the inside of the mask, and so you don't want to make it super rough. And when you're finished, it should be somewhat smooth to make your writing easier later on. Remember, this is a conceptual art piece, and the mask is going to contain the writing that you are going to do that expresses something that is very important to you, something that's inside, something that's underneath your mask. And it could actually be outside of your mask as well, but something that just really you hold near and dear. Okay. So it looks pretty good. What I'm going to do now is just turn it over and take a look at it. And I can see that I need to push a little bit more in here and definitely down in here. So I'm going to take and just go back over everything one more time. You can feel where the eyebrow is there. Not the actual eyebrows, but the brow of the eye that sticks out. There's where one of the eyes is. And then I'm going to follow this bridge of the nose down and get both sides of the nostril in there good. Same thing on this side. Being careful not to break the mask, but just really make sure everything gets down in there well. Now on the lips, the same thing. There was a little space underneath here where I didn't get it the first time. All right, so I'm going to turn that over and take a look at it. Looks pretty good. So what I'm going to do at this point is I'm going to take off some of this extra clay. So I'm just going to take my needle tool and cut this way right along this edge. You can see where that is cutting there. That's where the edge of the mask is. So this is ready to firm up, and so I'm going to put it under the blow dryer for probably 3 or 4 times to make sure that everything in here is leather hard before I go to the next step. All right, so here we are at the blow dryer. We're going to turn this on and blow the inside of the mask. Okay, so that was 2 times, and actually this is plenty leather hard, so I'm ready to go to the next step. All right, so now the mask has been dried to a leather hard state. We're simply going to turn this over, and it should fall right out like that. You want to check it, make sure it's not too soft. Probably roll it over into your hand, and then take and smooth these edges out. You can use some water, you can use some different tools to do that, and then we're going to need to put some holes in it. All right, so I'm going to put a little bit of water on the edge there. Take my finger then and begin rounding these corners. You can also use a sponge to do the same thing. I wet that sponge a little bit. And then you can use this to soften everything on the back, but you don't want to make it soggy. Now remember, this mask is going to be anonymous as far as them hanging, as far as whose is whose. So you'll be assigned a number, and you're going to write your number inside the mask up on the forehead. And this one is going to be number 100. But you will write your own number inside of it. And you should be the only one that knows your number. Okay, so once the mask has been smoothed in the back, the inside's how you want it, you have a number on it, you do need to put 3 holes at the top. So in the top center, you want to be about, I don't know, 1/4 of an inch at least from the edge, because you don't want it to be a hole that will break off later. So you're going to do 1 in the center, and then you're going to do 2 more holes about 1 inch on each side of that first hole. There's the second and the third. And the reason for the 3 holes is when they hang, we don't want them all hanging perfectly level. We want them at different angles, and that'll allow us to use the different angles. Now I do have some rough stuff on the back side, so I'm going to clean that off with a needle tool or a wooden tool, and then run the stylus through there a second time, and then make sure that the top is smooth as well. And if you need to, you can go through one last time. Okay, so that looks good. Here's my wear board. Got my number in it, and that's going to dry now.